Welcome to the Personal Pension Radio Podcast, where it's all about helping you complete your financial journey to retirement. Discover time-tested strategies and get unconventional insights into wealth building and retirement that actually work. Break away from the herd and go for the retirement you dream of. And now, here's your host, the income engineer, Kraig Strom.
All right, back on Personal Pension Radio. I'm so excited. It is episode number 170. Yes, I am the income engineer, broadcasting from the Personal Pension Radio workshop here in Southern California. My mission is to help you uncover the intricacies and the details behind the curtains of this mainstream financial advice that Wall Street has out there, to hopefully demystify the investment world, the life insurance world, the retirement world, 401ks, IRAs, all of those things. My goal is to empower you to ask the right questions. That if you don't jump on your email and get in touch with me directly, hopefully you're meeting with a qualified, certified financial planning professional so that you can go over these details for yourself personally. I was educated by that Wall Street financial advisory machine that controls the marketing message that the majority of financial advisors continue to pitch and put forth. I prefer to ask questions, to go deeper, to go beyond Wall Street. And that's what I hope to do, to motivate you to do the same thing, to ask questions, to say, hey, wait a minute, why is that right or is that right? And if you have any specific questions as you hear me go through this podcast, please don't forget, send me an email. Kraig, Kraig, at kraigstrom.com. Kraig at kraigstrom.com. I love the emails when they come in. I love the questions. I really do appreciate it. I do my best to respond to every one of them as quick as I can. I am blessed to be popular, so sometimes the email box gets to be a little difficult to manage, but I'm on it. Now, I want to jump right in today because I am excited about this podcast. This is going to be the third installment in financial education for kids. Thanks to Dan, once again, out there in Blackfoot, Idaho, for getting this whole thing started. So the last two episodes prior to this, I did go over a number of the pieces that Dan had asked about related to financial advice for kids and how to teach your kids. So go back and listen to the last two episodes as well as going through this one, of course. Now, quick disclosure, I am not an attorney. I am not a certified public accountant. I am a certified financial planner professional. As qualified as all the letters and numbers after my name and the many years of experience that I might have, please don't act on things that you hear on my show, or especially, my goodness, things that you hear from financial entertainers that have no business giving out financial advice. Please don't act on things that you hear from those kind of shows as well. Meet with a qualified financial planner. I work with folks all over the country through the miracles of technology. So please, if you want to connect with me, I am happy to have a meeting with you. Please do so. Kraig at kraigstrom.com. Now, I do have a deal of the week. So I actually do have a deal of the week. I finally figured out what I want my garage doors to look like. How's that for an intro? When my wife and I moved into this home that we're in, it's actually one of our rental homes. We had 3 rental houses for a period of time, and I decided I wanted to simplify, and we sold out of a bigger house and sold another couple of houses and then moved into one of our rental houses. This house is built back in the 1970s and really has never been updated, even has the original garage doors. I'm in the process of tearing apart and getting ready to remodel the kitchen, and I've wanted to find some solution to the garage doors, right? So I wanted to get garage doors, but every time I've checked on the garage doors, they want to charge me more for smaller doors. That's right. Because my doors are smaller than standard size garage doors, I have to pay a major markup to a garage door company because they have to custom order and custom size my smaller doors. It makes no sense. It's ludicrous to me that I would have to pay more to get smaller doors installed. So I just won't do it. Those of you who listen to my show, you know that I am looking for the bargain, or looking for a way to actually not pay full retail if at all possible. And so the garage doors I've just lived with for a couple of years now, I just haven't found a solution. Well, on another random visit to the source of all knowledge, YouTube, I found the perfect doors. These are doors that I can actually make myself in my own shop and install them myself. I can actually do the entire project myself. Now, that means it was off to the lumber yard. So I headed off to the lumber yard. And remember, I don't like paying retail. So I went directly to the manager of my local lumber store. Big store. It's great stuff. Lots and lots of beautiful retail lumber. And I went right to the manager and I said, "Do you have any clearance wood? Any wood that's on clearance? Any cull wood? Anything that's marked down heavily?" And he said, "Yeah, that's outside by the guard shack out back." So I headed on outside, headed towards the guard shack, and sure enough, I found the deal o' the week. So there next to the garage shack is this pallet full of lumber that had been pulled off the shelves and out of the inventory because it was dirty, it was rough, might have not been the right length, but it just wasn't selling. So they pull this stuff out and they stack it for clearance. Now, I went through it and looked at it with my door project and what I had in mind, and this stuff was going to work great because I'm a DIY guy. I'm going to turn this wood into brand new, crisp looking wood. So I know what's underneath. And I know that, yeah, it might be a little ugly. It might be a little bit, all dirty and stuff. But I know what it's going to look like. So I loaded up my truck and I loaded up some more and I loaded up some more and I went inside and I had them ring me up. And I tell you what, I was just smiling because for all the wood, I paid $72. $72. Now, it turns out this wood was 74% off. 74% off. It would have cost me $205 more had I purchased it retail. It would have been $278. Instead, I paid $72 and drove home smiling. So my wood shop has been fired up, blowing sawdust and jamming splinters in my hand for the last couple of days, starting to prep and break down this wood. And I've already run it through my surface planers machine, and man, the wood looks gorgeous. It's going to be great. So garage doors are underway. That's my deal of the week. Now, segment 1, watch your step. Last week I talked about the student loan crisis. Student loan debt in America is the largest asset on the books of the United States. Hear that. The largest asset on the balance sheet of the United States is student loan debt. And here's the scary part. 3,000 people per day are defaulting on their student loans. This week, I've got to share kind of a sad story because this is actually tied in with some of the conversations that I've brought up lately about life insurance and my ranting with Dave Ramsey and financial advisors who sell life insurance wrong. This week, watch your step. Buying term insurance and not thinking long term and not being open to conversations about life insurance in retirement and life insurance when you're older is a recipe for disappointing your family. So many financial advisors and financial entertainers, like I said, they say that people should never buy permanent cash value life insurance. Especially you don't ever need permanent cash value life insurance in retirement because permanent cash value life insurance is just dumb. Well, when my Uncle Bob asked me to be his financial advisor, I jumped right in to evaluate things, and this was a number of years ago. I jumped right in to evaluate things for him and his wife. And Uncle Bob did not have any life insurance left because his 20-year term guarantee had expired long ago, and his health was not good. And he was not able to qualify for life insurance anymore. Now, even as a fairly young guy in his late 40s and 50s, he just wasn't healthy enough to qualify for life insurance. And I shared with him and my aunt that I was very concerned that Aunt Sally would be in a tough spot income-wise if Bob passed away before her in retirement. She would lose her Social Security check, and she would also get a lower pension payout from his work. And unfortunately, like I said, Uncle Bob could not qualify for life insurance any longer, and he had long since let his term insurance pass, and it was not something we could pick back up again. So, unfortunately, Uncle Bob passed away last month at 68 years old. He passed away from complications due to heart surgery, or complications from heart surgery, and now I'm dealing with exactly what I was worried about those many years ago. That if my uncle had $50 or $100 or $200,000, just a small amount of permanent life insurance, or had converted some of his term insurance before the premium guarantee expired to cash value insurance, it would have made a world of difference for my aunt. That would have made a huge difference today for my Aunt Sally, and it really makes me sad. I mean, there's just nothing that I could have done. I mean, he just was never able to be qualified for life insurance ever again. And if you listen to people like Dave Ramsey say, never, ever, ever do you need cash value life insurance. Never will you need life insurance when you're retired. I call absolutely BS. That is not true, folks. If your planning isn't just right, if it isn't just right, sometimes permanent cash value insurance can be an excellent thing to have in retirement in the later years to balance the income scales for the surviving spouse. Now, my auntie, she's going to be okay, but she's going to be just okay. She could have been better. That's the thing. Permanent life insurance is not just a no. That's the thing. It shouldn't be just a no. It should be part of the conversation. Sometimes it's not needed, all right? So please, watch your step. Don't fall for this same old mantra that's out there. Everybody's situation is unique. Now, let me jump in. Segment 2, listener question. This is the part 3, 2, 1 of dealing with the financial education for kids. Part 3, I think. I lose track. Now, last week, I covered part 2. That's where I'm back on track. So I talked about my daughter, her kid, friends calling her Matarella because I made her work. We talked about schooling and choosing the education that's right for the kids and not some crazy degree that's never going to go anywhere, right? 40-something crowd, the husbands and wives out there. How do you teach your kids successful investing? Can we teach the kids 101s of investing at a young age? Go back and listen to the last 2 episodes, folks. If you've got kids or grandkids out there and you're trying to figure out how to talk to them about money, maybe this will help. I am by no means the end-all resource, but I hope it can help. Go back and listen to the last couple of episodes for sure. Send me your feedback. Send me emails if you have any additional questions. But this week, I want to finish with part 3. Financial tips for your kids, for you and your kids. And this question that we're going to start with is a big one. What are the best investments for kids? Well, for the first thing, that is a big it depends, okay? So remember, though, before you dive into invest with kids, remember the rules. Build your financial castle and your financial house correctly. Protect it first. Build a strong foundation of liquidity. Cash is powerful, and it's ready to deploy when opportunity presents itself. That is the key, folks. When opportunity presents itself, you've got to have cash so that you can get in there and deploy that cash to take advantage of the opportunity. It's also there for emergencies. So build the castle with a wide moat of protection, strong foundation. Then we start to build and invest and go from there, right? Don't get sucked into this invest. Don't get sucked into the same tired Wall Street directions that have just not gotten people where they hope to be. I mean, it just hasn't worked, right? So what are the best investments for kids? It depends. What are you as a parent passionate about? What are you passionate about? Right? I'm passionate about cars. So I'd love it if my daughter got excited about cars. I don't know. Maybe she will, right? I like woodworking. I like my hobbies. I'm a self-employed entrepreneurial kind of a guy. So will she take that passion and see that success that I've had? And will that drive her to her own successes? Right? What are your kids passionate about? Do they have a hobby? Do they have something that they really love? Right? Here's a great example. Start a business with something they're passionate about. Start a business together. It's risky, right? Starting a business is a risky investment, but it's easier than ever today. I met some folks recently that started an organic supplement business from their living room with their mom, and now they do over $10 million per year in sales from the same living room on Amazon. Folks, find something you're passionate about, right? We can teach our kids to invest in stocks and various investments and things like that. We can teach them about life insurance. We can teach them all these things, and that's great. There's lots of basic fundamental stuff that I've covered here that you could go into deeper. But maybe starting a business, because when you look at some of the most successful people in the world, they run businesses of their own, right? They run their own business. So that's an idea. You could do that. What about teaching your kids to start their own podcast? I met a lawyer who is a very successful entertainment lawyer, and her daughter has a side hustle with women's cosmetics. She's got a YouTube channel. She does all kinds of marketing and promo and Instagram and Snapchat, and she actually makes money, and she's not even 15 years old. Start a business maybe, okay? I don't know what the answer is to the best investment, but it is the one that your kid will be passionate about, whatever that might be. I remember listening to a podcast, and I'm going to forget his name. He was passionate about baseball, so passionate, in fact, that he started a blog and a podcast and a YouTube channel all about hitting, coaching hitters, coaching, what is the word I'm looking for? Batting. Hitting. What am I talking about here? He was a hitting coach, and he started a membership YouTube training thing where he's doing specifically batting coaching, and he makes really good money at it, right? He's passionate about it. I don't know what the answer is, but I'll tell you, please don't let it be the same old mantra that Wall Street's been spoon-feeding every generation for the last 40 years. Please teach your kids to break away from that Wall Street herd of cattle and ask questions. Do something different. Poke your head up above the crowd and ask, what are they doing over there? What's going on over there, right? Now, if your child wants to start a business mowing lawns or babysitting as an example, how would you help them start that business? Well, for me personally, I actually did teach my daughter to start a business. I helped her start a Mary Kay Cosmetics business. At 15 years old, she started. She got excited about it. She got into it. She was doing it pretty good, but she just didn't want to commit to the work necessary. Therein lies a serious lesson. When your kid says they want to start a business, make sure they understand that it is serious work. It is not just halfway work, right? It is work. And my daughter just didn't have the I don't know what you call it, the bandwidth for school and starting up a Mary Kay business. She just didn't have it. I really worked with her for a long time, trying to keep nudging her and pushing her and helping her and teaching her how to do YouTube and teaching her how to do Facebook and helping her, but she just didn't have the passion for it. So eventually, we just let it go. I wasn't going to keep trying to force her to do something that she wasn't passionate about, right? But you have to keep trying. Right? If they want to start a business, if they want to sell lemonade, let them sell the lemonade. But make sure you teach them how to do it. Teach them to market it. Teach them to have somebody holding the sign. Teach them to have all of their inventory ready. Teach them to have their extra beverage ready on the side in case they run out. Make sure they have a cooler ready. Make sure they have some ice in the cooler so that when people ask for lemonade, they give them a cup with a couple of ice cubes in it and a nice cold lemonade, right? I share the lemonade story, folks, because I have a standing policy. I stop at every kid's lemonade stand. I will always stop. I've stopped for decades. I don't remember the last time I didn't stop. I'd never miss it. I always give them $1 and I ask them for a lemonade. And if they don't do a good job selling me the lemonade, I actually stop and ask mom and dad if they're out there, do you mind if I give the kids a tip, right? Never do I have a parent say, no, I do mind. I don't want you to help my kid. Of course not. They love that you're there sharing with them and paying for that lemonade. So if they want to start a lemonade stand, awesome. What if they want to bake cookies? Great. Be mindful, though, depends on your neighborhood. There are actual stories of people selling cookies and lemonade here in California and police showing up to say, you kids can't do that. You need a permit. Yeah, that's the People's Republic of California for you. But I say, go for it, right? If you live in a place where you can, your kids can sell night crawlers to fishermen, tell them to go dig worms and sell them to the fishermen. If you can bake some cookies, bake some cookies. If you can make lemonade, let them get out there and do that. And as soon as your kids are able to mow a lawn, get them next door, up and down the neighborhood, offering to mow lawns, right? That's good money. That is good money. But make sure that you teach them how to run that business. Make sure that they have actual flyers printed. Make sure that they actually have a place to keep a ledger of all of their accounts. Make sure that they know who owes them what. What are they charging Mrs. Jones? What are they charging the Johnsons down the street? What are the Smiths going to pay? Are they all the same price or is it a different price? Right? Teach them how to do that. Set them up with a business. And they might make it. You never know, right? They will never appreciate a cubicle job getting coffee for other people on the top floor if they've never done anything with their hands or in physical labor and they have nothing to compare it to. Right? My daughter knows the value of an air-conditioned counter where she works. She works at an upscale resort, and she works inside, air-conditioned, nice and comfy. She knows the value of that job because she's also been out mowing the lawn at 102 degrees in Southern California. She knows the value of that cushy job. Although it's not her perfect job, she knows the value, right? Now, the coffee on the top floor is a real example. I know someone who did not like her dream job. She got her dream job in the industry that she'd always wanted to work in. She went to school and got into debt and got student loans, and she got out of school and she got her dream job. And you know what she turned out to be? A glorified coffee girl for the executives 5 floors up. She had worked summers with her dad in his construction business, summers in Southern California in his construction business. Hot, manual labor outside on the job, right? And it was hot and nasty work. And sometimes she spent most of her summers working on jobs with her dad. But after 3 years of getting coffee as part of her dream job, she thought back to those days of working with her dad. She realized that she actually had grown up with a great life because dad was really successful in the construction business. They lived in a big house. They had the nicest vacations. They had a vacation home at the river, and she wanted for nothing. You know what? She remembered those hard days' labor on the construction field, but she also remembered all the good things that she had, and she called her dad and she asked if she could come home and learn the family business. And he said yes. Of course he did. He had tried to ask her to come to the business before, but she said, no, I'm going to go get my dream job. Do you think if she had never done any real physical labor in her life that she would have had anything to reference to? No. I think it was a great benefit to her that she worked her summers with her dad, because as much as she didn't like the coffee job, she was able to remember back and go, that wasn't so bad. Interesting how things work, right? Final question of the series. What resources are available to parents who want to set their kids up with basic financial knowledge and accruing so that they can accrue wealth at a young age? Now, for me, that's another big answer. The world is full of resources. I love non-conventional conversations. Anybody who deviates from the standard Wall Street mantra generally gets my attention. People like Robert Kiyosaki, people like Porter Stansberry, various podcasts that are out there. Now, that's a tough one. The podcast world and the written authorship world is largely dominated by people who still promote the Wall Street mantra. They might throw a twist on it here and there, but it's still the Wall Street mantra. When I say someone like Robert Kiyosaki is definitely an example to follow, right? Porter Stansberry does a great podcast. I love listening to his podcast, the Stansberry Investor Hour. Robert Kiyosaki does a podcast. I love listening to these guys because they are outside the mainstream channels of conversation. They're not afraid to talk about non-conventional lending. They're not afraid to talk about alternative investing. They're not afraid to challenge the Wall Street way of doing things. I really like that. And there are many different examples out there, but those are two that come to mind, right? The best way, though, to teach your kids strong financial lessons is to teach them by example. A strong personal financial knowledge is the first step towards giving your kids something to refer back to. Don't keep it to yourself. If they don't like it, too bad. Have a conversation with them in the car. Tell them the phone goes in the back seat, their earbuds come out, the radio goes off, and you're going to listen to a podcast, or you're going to talk about a podcast that you listen to, right? Look away from that Wall Street only, Wall Street teaching, right? Because you've got to build your financial house. And if you build it correctly, teach your kids how you're building it. Remember the rules of investing, for example. Rules of investing. Buy it cheap with other people's money in a good market, right? That's the idea. I love stories like Robert Kiyosaki and Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I love those types of stories because it is an awesome springboard to conversations about financial security and financial wealth. Also remember, some of the best wealth that you can impart to your children is knowledge. Knowledge and watching your example, okay? Remember, I shared a couple of episodes back. You never know what they're going to pay attention to. If you're out there paying retail for cars, for example, if you're paying retail for jewelry and clothes and watches, and you're going out to eat all the time, and your retirement situation is not nearly as good as it should be because you can't get your own spending under control, what kind of wealth are you leaving behind in the form of financial knowledge? Not much. It doesn't matter if you have a big fancy car, or a fancy house, or a boat. If you're broke when you're in your later years, what kind of an example are you setting for your kids? The best example you can set first is to pass the wealth of knowledge to your children. And the best way for you to internalize things like this and to internalize good habits and great financial education is to share it and teach it to your children. Don't keep it to yourself. That's what I'm going to leave you with, folks. Next week, I do have some comments about Robert Kiyosaki and Dave Ramsey. Robert Kiyosaki and Dave Ramsey. I would love to dig into that. That'll be next week. Don't forget, freeze your credit and make sure that your kids freeze their credit. Okay? Freeze your credit. It's only cost $20, and it's the best way to make sure that you don't get your identity stolen or your credit stolen. Please do that. If you have questions about it, you can send me an email, Kraig@kraigstrom.com. I'll send you the links to freeze your credit. Your kids can freeze their credit too, folks. Even as young as your little kids are, as soon as they got a social security number, you want to make sure that you want to freeze their credit. That's the thing. As soon as they show up on any credit bureau, you got to freeze their credit because they're susceptible to identity theft. Even young little kids nowadays are susceptible. That's going to wrap it up for me. Thank you so much for listening. Have a fantastic week. I'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you for listening to the Personal Pension Radio Podcast. If you missed anything during the show, that's okay. We took the notes for you. Check the show notes for links, offers, and a full transcript. And don't forget to head over to personalpensionradio.com and download your free retirement income report. While you are there, we would appreciate some iTunes love. Please leave us a fantastic rating on iTunes by going to personalpensionradio.com/iTunes. Thanks again for listening.
Now for the disclosure. Information presented is for educational purposes only and is not intended for solicitation, sale or purchase of any security or financial product. Be sure to first consult with a qualified financial advisor and your tax professional before implementing any strategy discussed here. The term personal pension refers to a marketing name designed to educate future retirees and retirees about the economic principles behind creating their own pension-like income. The term personal pension is not intended to be confused with a defined benefit pension plan offered by an employer or by a government entity.